This episode of Quite Frankly was made possible by our friends from MacFun, great photo editing software for Mac. Go to our special MacFun community website for exclusive deals just for you guys.
Oh, you hear now audio. Oh yeah, that's correct. Hey, and now you hear audio that's totally different from what you're used to us, right? That's correct. Audio is incredibly important in video. Now, we do a lot of instructional videos and a lot of video web podcasts. And what you now hear is the audio over the camera. It's okay, you can hear what I say, but it's not perfect. And that's where these little units come in, external microphones. So I'm going to ask Anne to wire me up with a Sennheiser microphone.
Now this is probably how you're used to my voice. This is what you hear during digital classroom. Quite frankly, the Doorhof is always open. Now you don't hear this during behind the closed doors. And that's very simple because we use only this RX100. It is great onboard audio, but it's, well, not as fancy as this. I like a close mic. Now what I'm using is a lavalier microphone and the Sennheiser EW100G3. Now this is one that you see a lot during workshops, trade shows, and of course in recording studios. You might say it's the industry standard. Now why is that? It's just a very reliable system. I've done trade shows where there's a lot of interference and these Sennheisers still work. However, they're not that cheap. They're actually, if you start out as a YouTuber or if you want to start out with small video productions, these take a big hit out of your budget. Is there also something cheaper? Yes, of course, but most of the cheaper solutions are based on the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi networks. The problem is that often the Wi-Fi networks are very, very heavily populated, meaning you get a lot of interference and that can bring your range down to 5 meters, 10 meters, or even no signal at all. So you don't want that. Now, you guys asked us during digital classroom, can you also sometimes let the model talk or have a guest over? In other words, can you use more mics? Well, we didn't want to buy another Sennheiser for the very simple reason, digital classroom of course is delivered to you guys for free. And the digital Sennheisers, the Sennheisers aren't that cheap. So in Photokina we actually looked at some other solutions and we ended up with a UHF solution from Boya. Now why UHF? I just explained that with 2.4 gigahertz there's actually a lot of interference. With the UHF system that's totally different. You have different channels and most of the time this system will work great even in heavily populated systems with Wi-Fi, like for example a trade show. We actually tested this on Photokina and the range was very, very good. And those are very hostile situations for budget microphones. Is this really a budget microphone? No, not really. They retail for about 200 euros. But the Sennheisers, they retail for about 900. So that's a huge difference. Now I can tell you about it, of course. And I can show you the stuff like this is the transmitter, this is the microphone, and this is the receiver, which normally is on Anne-Week's camera and during digital classroom actually in a mixer. The best thing, however, is just to let you guys judge yourself. So what we're going to do is a very simple test. We're just going to see how the range is from the Sennheiser and the sound quality and compare it to the range and sound quality of the Boya. So I'm going to grab my own camera and I'm just going to walk around the studio, starting with the Sennheiser and then with the Boya. Okay guys, so I'm now very simply going to walk around my studio and see how the audio quality is of the Sennheiser. Now the Sennheiser we know, we can get pretty good range from it. So I'm now going to walk actually outside the studio and we're just going to see when the signal actually stops. So we're going to go into our meeting room. We're going to turn around, show you guys the studio. We're going to do also a little different test. We're going to go to the restroom. And this is fun if the guy behind the camera doesn't know what you're doing. You can even turn on the water. And the reason I'm doing this is to let you guys hear how a worst case scenario works. You hear the water, you hear my voice, and I have the door closed. So this is literally a very bad situation. What you can actually do during recordings is this. You go to the restroom, you don't tell the guy behind the camera, you know your mic is on, and you do this. Oh yeah. Yep, there we go. Yep, you can still hear the audio, right? And the guy will think that you drank way too much. Okay, we're gonna walk out again. Gonna go into the offices from Anneweek and our interns. So I don't know if we still have audio, but I guess we do. There we go. So there we have Afra and there we have Steffi. Hello guys.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Yes?
Yeah.
Hard at work,
Yeah.
as usual. Okay, and we're gonna go back again. So this is actually a tour from our studio, which you get totally for free. I can actually walk outside. There we go. And the fun part is I don't know if you still hear audio because we never tried it this far. But we're still gonna go. Still gonna go. And this is actually also cool because now if the audio quits, we actually hear what happens when the audio gets back in. So if you hear noise or anything else. Okay, so let's go back inside the studio. And now we're gonna find Anneweek again. So we're now gonna back into our studio area itself. There we go. And there we have Anneweek sitting, waiting for me. And that concludes the test of the Sennheiser. Now let's switch over to the Boya system and see if it copes as well as the Sennheiser. Okay, Anneweek is recording, so I'm gonna walk again. And there we go. So by now you already know the Grand Tour. So I'm not gonna tell you a lot more, except we're now going into the area where we normally get our guests in. There we go. We go to the restroom again. I really have to go. And we're gonna turn on the water. So there we go. So now we have the water running. Close the door for a really nice sound quality effect. There we go. So we're gonna turn the water off. And we're gonna walk out again. Gonna go to the interns. So, by the way, this is our kitchen. If you want to see, really nice kitchen. Let's go to our interns. Hello, interns. Are you here? No. Ah, they're here. They're working. Still working. Or doing internet. No. They're still working. Okay, and we're gonna go outside again and walk back to the studio. So same route, nothing changed, except of course outside you never know what's gonna change. So, and here you can see our studio from the outside. It's the whole building of course, but you only see the reception room here, because the studio is actually behind it. Okay, I'm gonna go back in. The sound you now hear is, by the way, from a truck, so that's no interference. And we're gonna go back in. And trying to find Anneweek, although I know where she is, of course, but I have to make it a little bit exciting for you guys. And there we go. And there's Anneweek next to our Let Go panel. And we're done. Okay, so we just walked around the studio and you heard that the sound of the Boya was pretty good. Now that I'm sitting down, you can hear a difference between the Sennheiser and the Boya. On the Boya you will actually hear behind my voice a little bit of noise. Is that frustrating? Is it irritating? You have to decide it for yourself. I think that in a normal presentation where you also have some music in the background, the Boya performs great. It's wireless and, well, it's a huge price difference compared to the Sennheiser. But you have to compare it for yourself. So we're going to switch one more time to the Sennheiser to let you hear the difference when I'm just sitting down. Okay, and now you can hear my voice over the Sennheiser. As you can hear, the Sennheiser is crystal clear, no noise. And well, we tried different channels on the Boya. We tried even the microphone from the Sennheiser on the Boya, so that's not a problem. So there is some interference in the system. Now for the same thing that we use it, we just want to make the model speak during digital classroom, the Boya will do just fine. So if you're starting out with video, if you want to do some nice instructional videos and you want your audio on a higher level and you don't have the budget for the Sennheiser, I can highly recommend the Boya. But in the end, you have to decide yourself. You now saw the video, you hear me talk, you hear me walking around, you decide which one you like. But for us, for the model, And for our intern to give the questions to me during Digital Classroom, I'm very happy with the Boya.